Welcome to Welcome to podcasts. Welcome to Comfort Zone, a podcast all about pushing your hosts, outside of their comfort zone. I'm Christopher Lawley, and every week I'm joined by two co-hosts that, they didn't beat me. As always, we're joined by Mr. Matt Birchler. Matt, how are you doing?
Hey, Chris. I'm happy.
Yeah, you're happy?
Oh my god.
Very happy.
You're happy. Interesting. I'm curious to find out why. But before we get to that, Neeleon. We are also joined by Neeleon. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing well, and I'm dealing with this better than Matt.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. You kind of usually have a rig system so that you always win. Anyways, let's tell people what we're talking about. Democracy. Our challenge last week was Matt's, and it was to find a free game on the App Store. We had 3 submissions. Neeleon, tell us who won and who didn't.
All right, you won with your pick, which was Vampire Survivors at 59% of the votes. I came in second with my game Okay, with the long fingers.
Yeah.
And Matt came in last with Gabbins with 9% of the votes.
I did better when I
rough.
cheated on games in the past.
Yeah.
I followed the rules. It was my own challenge. I mean,
9% is great, Matt.
so here's my theory. I think, Chris, you picked one of the greatest games of the past 10 years.
Yeah, that a lot of people have already played.
It's hard to deny.
Yeah.
Neeleon, you were appealing to the Long Finger Club. There's just a group who like long
Yes.
fingers, and
Ugh.
they all voted for your game, even though they're not in the game, is my understanding. And there just wasn't room for just a really good word game. So it's fine. I'm not bothered by it.
I'm the only one who picked a truly free game. Let's just say that.
Well, Vampire Survivors is also free on the App Store too, like the App Store version. I think there's like in-app
okay.
purchases
Never
or
mind
something
then.
like that. Like it is free to download and play.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I see what you were trying to do there.
Chris. You did well. You did well. What I'm not going to say a bad thing about Vampire Survivors, so I'm going to trick
It's a good game, and I would be lying if I said I didn't. When I was picking a game, I didn't look for a game that I knew people had already played because I wanted to win Democracy. But that's the name of the game. But also, I was really late to the game, and I wanted to play it anyways. So it's a great game. Anyways, let's move on because we have a lot of stuff to talk about this week, and we can't go super long. So, Matt, I saw you put something in the document about Matt's lightning round. What's going on here?
Yeah, so I have a lightning round of follow-up that I wanted to do real quick. A week or two ago, we talked about smart accessories and this idea that there are people out there who use the Philips Hue app, for example. I got feedback afterwards from someone who does use the Hue app,
What?
and that is because they just have a couple bulbs. They don't have a hub. It doesn't work with HomeKit. And so they and it uses Bluetooth through the Hue app. And so for them, they're like, I don't do that much, so it's fine. So that was one reason I hadn't considered. They could not be compatible with HomeKit. So
Yeah.
I didn't even know you could connect to them via Bluetooth instead of the hub. That you must have to be fairly close to them, like to trigger them.
It doesn't sound ideal, but
Yeah.
it sounds like they have very basic use and they're like on a schedule, so they never really do anything anyway.
Okay. I get that.
So yeah. So I thought that was interesting. The second thing is we all love Mastodon. Mastodon's cool. I have been using FanP on the web, fanp.social, for like a year as my web interface because it's really cool. It did group notifications, had a nice UI. But ever since the Mastodon 4.3 update that we talked about a couple weeks ago as well, I'm back on the normal Mastodon interface with Tangerine UI, which somebody makes. I think they're
I think it's the same person that makes Bitcoin, right? It's anonymous.
Oh yeah.
That's
That's
the
it.
Bitcoin person, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's Neeleon's and it's incredible. So I'm using the blue variant right now, which is very rad.
How do you feel
Lagoon.
about the blue variant, Neeleon? Like to me, it seems like a lesser variant than the orange one, right?
Oh.
Are you trying to turn her against me in my own follow-up segment?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I agree with Chris, but I made it, so it's all right.
And so it's
Okay.
still good.
Yeah.
There's clearly demand in the market for a blue
There
Mastodon theme.
was.
Neilion has become our like color czar, where like I just always go to her whenever we have questions about color, because
Yeah.
I made her. I had her. Did she approve of my Apple Watch band and stuff like that? Because apparently my orange one wasn't the right orange, but whatever.
And then the third thing I wanted to, this is for, I guess, you and me, Chris. How are you using the camera control button these days? It's been like a month or so since we got these phones, so I'm curious how it's going.
So I started off using the default camera app, all the controls enabled, so you can like tap on it and change like the f-stop and the lens and all that stuff. Then I switched to Halide for a little bit to use it with just like quickly taking like the process 0 and raw shots and stuff like that. But I am back on the default app because I found it really nice to be able to do video and portrait and ultra wide stuff and macro stuff all right from one app. I mostly always take raw photos, so that's big. It's I just edit it later. I don't really do photographic styles, but I have disabled the ability to change settings because I found that I was accidentally changing settings while taking a photo way too often. Like lenses would change or the f-stop would change and all that stuff, and I didn't like that. So I turned off. You can do it under accessibility, camera control. So right now, the camera control button opens the camera and takes a photo.
Perfect. So I have also gone on a journey, but where I've ended up is my action button launches the stock camera app, which I use most of the time because I prefer the action button for launching the camera, which is a tough look for the camera control. And I have the camera control set to launch Halide.
Okay.
And then I use that specifically when I want to take a raw photo. So I'll use that, but most of the time I'm using the action button to just launch Apple's app. So it's all cameras, but yeah. And Halide also has like, I think by default, it does nothing as well when you swipe.
Yeah. I saw Sebastian DeWitt kind of talk about, I think it was on Threads or something, talk about how he was like accidentally triggering stuff too. So, yeah, I'm in the same boat. I have Halide on my home screen. I did an iPhone home screen video. My Halide's on the home screen, so I can still take like those process 0 shots when like it's a good subject. I've kind of like narrowed down like when those work the best. Usually outdoors, usually during the day, and if it's not super super bright outside. But for the most part, I just got back from the beach. I took a bunch of raw photos there. They will be in an upcoming iPhone video, and I'm really happy with the way this camera looks. Like it's
nice.
It's really impressive. So we are going to try something a little different going forward. Typically in the past, all three of us have brought something to talk about, something new to talk about tech-wise, and then we go into the challenge. But I have been noticing, and I don't know about you two, but I have been noticing we each bring something, we go long, and then we rush through the challenge part. So so we kind of discussed in our text channel, like basically the person that brings the challenge this week. So I'm bringing the challenge of try a new version of multitasking. They don't have to bring something for the main part of the show or the bring something to talk about part of the show. They're just going to focus on making the challenge the best they can, and then the other two will bring stuff. That way we're not rushing through these other bits, and we're just going to try it out and see if it works. That's the thing with creative projects, is you have to try new things. You have to mix it up and see how it works. And my hope is this gives us a little more time to discuss things in depth and not rush through different segments because we're going long, because either Matt needs to get to his job, or like this week I have an appointment like immediately after we hang up, I have to run to this next thing, or Neilion has responsibilities and stuff like that. So that's kind of our hope.
Yeah, keen chapter users in the podcast may notice that the first chapter is always the longest, the second one's a little shorter, and the third one is the shortest of all. So as the person who puts together the chapters, I'm like, Interesting.
Yeah, and as the person that edits it, I always notice that like we spend it's exactly that, and then we get to the challenge, and we're all just kind of rushing because we see what time it is, and we know like one of us has to get to something because we have
Yeah.
other responsibilities, but we also want to make a really good show. So we're hoping that this gives us. Gives us a little more padding. Plus, it gives a person essentially a week off so that they're not having to bring something 52 weeks of the year or 52 times a year, like we were kind of talking about. And this way, it just gives us a little more padding, gives somebody a week off and to kind of like think about something and make sure we're always bringing something interesting.
Yeah, Mac Stories is offering a special 20% discount on Club Mac Stories membership from now through tomorrow, November 1st, as you're hearing this, on all annual plans. Club Mac Stories has been delivering more Mac Stories every week for almost a decade, and what started with a weekly and monthly newsletters has blossomed into a family of memberships designed for every Mac Stories fan. There are now three plans to choose from. Club Mac Stories, which delivers weekly and monthly newsletters via email and the web, that are bringing with apps, tips, automation workflows, long-form writing, early access to the Unwind podcast, giveaways, and more. So through tomorrow, that's $40 instead of $50. Club Mac Stories Plus is everything that Club Mac Stories offers. Plus, you can join the Discord community. You can access advanced search, custom RSS features for exploring the club's entire back catalog, bonus columns, and dozens of app discounts. So through tomorrow, that's $80 instead of $100. And Club Premiere is all of the above plus Mac Stories, App Stories Plus, sorry, an extended version of the flagship podcast, App Stories, although I would argue that we can be that flagship podcast, but sure. So you get that ad-free version of App Stories, and so through tomorrow, that's $96 instead of $120. So you will also enjoy through tomorrow a bunch of extra perks, app discounts and giveaways, special columns, and there has been an audio event in Discord, and there will be more in the future. So the code to benefit from this discount is Club 2024. So visit plus.club to get that discount. It is a 20% discount off the annual plans.
So getting into the main part of the show, Matt, you were first in the document. What do you got for us this week?
Oh, I'm excited. I have new hardware to show off.
I'm excited for this too.
And this is the brand new Kindle Paperwhite, 6th generation, I guess it is.
Now, this isn't the base Kindle. This is the step above that, right?
This is the step above, and it's the signature edition. So it's the step above the normal Paperwhite.
Okay. All right. I'm already confused.
There are 5 Kindles now.
Whoa.
I'll get into that in a second. What's interesting about this to me is that this is actually, which is kind of crazy to say because I buy a lot of tech things, I've never owned an e-reader before. So this is my very first one.
Same. I've never owned one either. I've never owned. I've
never
always
owned
been
one either.
I've always been a big physical book person, despite the fact that I feel like I am a very techie person that's always on the bleeding edge. I love holding a physical book still. So, but I have been very Kindle and Kobo curious. I think Kobo's the other one. I have it bookmarked here.
I'm so Kobo curious.
Yeah, Kobo is the other one. Kobo is the other one. Yeah.
Yeah. So I like physical books as well. I've got some physical books behind me. But what I hate is the space these books take up. So I don't want everything as a physical book. And if I'm traveling, they don't take up that much space, but
they add weight.
They do add weight. And I mentioned last week I was in New York, so I was on a plane, and I looked across the aisle, and there was someone just reading on a Kindle, and I was like, that is the life for me. That's the life I want. Because now we're getting into my slight neuroses, but I cannot use an iPad or a laptop on a plane. I just can't bring myself to do it.
I did not know this about you.
Why?
Why is that?
I get so self-conscious about the people
What?
around me seeing what I'm doing,
Really?
Huh.
and
Okay.
especially with like watching something. Like I don't want to watch a movie and have other people around see the movie with me, especially if I haven't seen it before. What if there's a sexy scene? What if there's some
Mm.
crazy violence? I don't want to be like sitting on a plane and have people looking over my shoulder and being like, I mean, they probably don't care. We're all
You
in our
don't
own
know
worlds.
them.
But
See, I love plane trips for one thing. I get so much work done. It is because there's nothing else for me to do. I will
Mhm.
sit there and edit a video on a plane. And keep in mind that I'm editing a video of me talking into a camera. Like, you don't get more vain than that. So, yeah, that's wild. Like, you don't even want to watch a movie or a show or something.
I don't. It just seems so high risk. It's irrational. I'm aware of that, but I don't like the idea of doing that for whatever
Huh.
reason.
What I do on the
That's-
train is judge when people read newspapers
Ooh.
because I tend to like form in my head a whole like I try to imagine their whole political personality
Mm.
based off
Mm.
what kind of news they are reading. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
I'm toxic like that.
I always wanted to be one of those people that like read a newspaper in like a fancy like red velvet chair with like a smoking jacket, a pipe, and either a coffee or a brandy next to me. But I don't like any of that stuff. So yeah.
What if it was a Diet Dr. Pepper?
Okay, now you got me.
Oh my god.
So anyway, let's move on from my stupid things that I can't get out of my head. The Kindle Paperwhite. Okay, so the lineup. There are a bunch of new Kindles. We don't have time to get into all of them, but there's basically a baseline Kindle, I think just called Kindle, and that's like $110. There's the Kindle Paperwhite, which is $160. And the differences between these are not huge, actually. This is a slightly bigger screen. I think it's like a 6-inch versus 7-inch screen. This has kind of a flush, like the whole thing is flat, more like an iPad, whereas the other Kindle has thicker bezels and the screen is kind of depressed into it, like an old school screen. And I guess the screen quality is a little higher, but like there's not a big difference. I actually learned while I was going through this and like watching reviews and stuff for previous Kindles. There's a whole segment of people who actually prefer the cheapest Kindle because they like the tinier size, the lower weight, and the thicker bezels. So there's like if this cost twice as much, like I would still get this cheap one because it's better for me. But based on what I knew about myself, I figured I'd want a little bigger screen and a slightly nicer one. There's also a new color one. I forget what it's called. Like the color
I saw that it's not out
Something.
yet. I think it comes
Not
out
out yet.
next week or this week. By the time when you're listening to this, it's out this week. It might already be out, but we're recording early, so it might
Yeah,
not
yeah.
be. Yeah.
Yeah. It's best while we're recording not to think too much about timelines. It's very complicated. But yeah, so there's a color one that looks cool, but like I don't want it for reading anything. Like I don't want to read comics on necessarily. I have an
Yeah.
iPad that could do that. Also parent
E-ink display, so it's not going to be like really nice. Like it's not gonna, like what the comic book art isn't going to look great on it because it's still an e-ink display. Like the e-ink displays don't look great. Even the color ones, they don't look amazing for art.
Yeah, and the DPI is halved in that case. So
Ooh.
all the Kindles, every single model has 300 DPI, but in color mode, the color one is 150. So it's quite a bit lower. I also learned during my research. This isn't really a review. This is just Matt learns what an e-reader is and how, and some random things about books. I was curious because the display on this, again, 300 ppi, which is less than an iPhone screen, less than an iPad. So not technically as crisp, but like when you look at it, it looks great. Like it really indoors, it looks fine. It looks normal, but I took it outside and like in the bright sun, and I'm used to like how screens work in the sun and like they're not as visible. but like I took this out in the sun and it was like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. It looks so good. The
Oh,
more light you can get in front of this thing, um,
And this
it's
is
pretty incredible.
exactly why I've been ebook curious lately. I I've had the new Kindle sitting in my cart for the week. I've also been
Mm.
had the Kobo tab open for a week. I'm very, very like on the verge of picking one and going in a direction, and I might go the Kobo route because you went the Kindle route, so we have something different and something to compare to on the show.
Um, I mean, that would be fun actually. Uh, and so what else is there to say about this, honestly? Oh, the hardware. So the hardware quality, like this is very much not Apple style hardware. It is more, I mean, it's very nice. The way I would describe it is basically it's as good as it needs to be, but it's not extravagant. And so I think the example that came to mind while I was kind of writing up my notes for what I wanted to talk about today was the Vision Pro, which is unbelievably beautiful hardware. Like if you look at the details of it, it's
Oh yeah.
astounding. Like the level of quality, like that was put into the hardware. Like the
Mine sits on my desk. Like it's
it looks beautiful. The outside of it looks beautiful. um, and like I could see like I know iPads exist and those are awesome and everything. But this is much. I think it's technically metal on the Paperwhite, but kind of feels just like hard plastic to me. But like it's super light, it's super comfortable to hold in one hand. Like it's just very nice. The one thing it does charge with USB-C as well. The one thing that sucks about this, and I do not understand at all, is the power button is just next to the USB-C port on the bottom. It's not in a corner. It's not centered anywhere. It's just at this very weird
whoa.
spot that
that
I
se-
don't understand.
that seems like my palm would hit that quite a bit when you're holding it.
So it takes some pressure to push it down.
Okay.
So I
Okay.
haven't
That's good.
accidentally hit it, but
Okay.
like you kind of just do this weird like gesture when you have to.
Sounds like they thought about this at the very last minute.
How does this feel using it one-handed? Like, so I obviously, like I talked about last week, I have the new iPad mini. I've been reading books on
Mhm.
it. It feels incredibly good to hold it just one-handed, and then you can do the flip page motion in the Books app. Works really well. Issue is it's not an e-ink display. You cannot read a book outdoors in sunlight on the thing. So that's
Yeah.
why I've been kind of a little more ebook curious because I just got back from the beach. I literally published the iPad mini review and went, peace, out of here. So I got back from the beach, but when we were at the beach, like the iPad mini was basically useless.
Yeah. So it is pretty good for that. Like I kind of hold it. It's hard to show off, but like I kind of rest it in my palm, and
Mm-hmm.
then I just have my thumb on the front of the screen, and I can tap on the right side to go to the next page. It also does left and right swipes, so you can do whichever is more comfortable. I heard Jason Snell talking about this on his Upgrade podcast. He really misses the e-readers with physical buttons on the side for page turns. And I do kind of get that because like while I'm reading, my fingers on the bezel and I have to move it to change page. And it would be kind of nice if I could just squeeze and change the page. That'd be nice.
I heard him talk about that too, and I looked at older ebooks and they all have buttons, like they have these big bezels on the right side so you can turn pages, and I know why they got rid of those, because they want to make them look really clean and aesthetically pleasing tech devices and stuff like that. But why don't they just put the buttons on the back? Like you have your fingers back there, put them on the
Mhm.
back. You could have a go forward, go back button right on the back. Maybe you might accidentally hit it. I don't know,
Yeah.
but Big Kendall, if you're listening, do that and send me one.
Big
Yeah.
candle.
It definitely feels like a thing that could be improved. I definitely understand now that I have it in hand, like why those buttons could be appealing.
Gotcha.
And then the other things I'll say is I'm walking into this ecosystem like 15 years after they started being a thing, like maybe more. I forget when the first Kindle launched, but there's a lot of integrations into this, which is cool. So You can buy Amazon books, of course, and you're kind of using Amazon's ecosystem. But you can also connect Libby, or I think you can connect your library card directly, at
I
least
know
in the
you
United
can
States.
connect your library card. I know you can do that.
Okay. So I have a Libby account that's using my library card to borrow books, and you can sync ebooks from, not every book supports it for whatever reason. It's a little frustrating, but a lot of books do support it. So you can like borrow it in the Libby app and say send to Kindle, and your Kindle will just have it the next time you open it up.
That's
and you
cool.
can read it there. So that's really cool. There's an Audible integration, so you can listen. It does support Bluetooth, so you can connect Bluetooth headphones if you want. And you can listen as it reads and I think auto highlights for you
Oh,
kind of
that's
as you
very
go.
nice.
That is very nice. There's a Goodreads integration. So if you use Goodreads, which is also owned by Amazon now, you can basically when you start a book, you can tell on the Kindle, you can say like, update my Goodreads to say I'm reading this book. And once you get to the end of the book, you can say mark it as read on Goodreads. So if you use that, that's kind of cool. You can highlight books and you can sync those to Readwise. So everything comes back to Readwise eventually.
Does it
So-
work with raindrop.io as well?
I don't think so.
Okay, because I would love something that could pull my Read It Later articles.
Yeah, I don't. I feel like there are some. I've heard people talk about this where you can send your read later list to the Kindle and read there somehow.
Kobo
figured that
has
out.
something like there is a kind of almost like an IFTTT kind of setup where you can basically, but it's like some other site. I actually hadn't heard of it until I did research, and now I don't remember what it is off the top of my head. But like basically, you connect your two accounts, and like it kind of sort of works, but one day it could just disappear.
Yeah. And I think the last thing I'll say about this is, we're Apple fans. We buy a lot of Apple hardware, and we're very familiar with the kind of ladder of pricing that they do where, I want to spend $300, but if I spend $400, I get this nice thing. And then I'm already spending $400. Maybe I spend $500 and I get this one. This is how I ended up with this Kindle, because the first one, the basic one, is $110, and I've never owned an e-reader. I probably should have just gotten that one to see if it even worked. But for $60 more, I could get all these additional features, a bigger screen, it's a little nicer, and that's cool. But it's got ads, so it's another $20 to get rid of the ads, and so I'm up to $180. And then the Signature Edition doesn't have ads and has a couple other features like auto brightness and I think a slightly nicer build quality. That's only $20 more. Anyway, that's how you end up spending $200 on a Kindle.
The price ladder.
The price ladder. And I think the color one is like $250, $260. So then presumably if that was available, I would have been like, well, I'm already in for $200. What's another $50? So I guess it's good that this was available for next day shipping and the other one wasn't. So maybe I did save some money. But anyway, it's too early to say like how I'll feel about this long term, but I am flying again in a couple weeks, and I'm so excited to read this on the plane because it's really enjoyable. I really like it.
This is really interesting, but my big question to you is, what did you do on planes before this then? If you didn't if you didn't use your iPad or laptop, do you just sit there the whole time and just like look straight ahead?
I shouldn't have said this.
Are you one of those weirdos that you're just like, what is this dude doing?
So, oh boy. All right, this isn't going how I wanted it to go.
You're just listening to the radios included on the airplane.
I'm just listening to the onboard
The pilots.
Yeah.
The pilots.
So what I do is I make sure my podcast app has all my podcasts downloaded. I make sure the YouTube app has all of my watch later queue downloaded. And I watch and listen to these on my iPhone, and I try to sleep. But I can't sleep on planes, so I just am listening to things the whole time.
I don't even know what to say to that. I don't even Matt, get some work done. Write some scripts. I'm telling you,
No.
I've gotten so much work done on planes. It is the best. I've seriously thought about just taking flights just to get work done.
Oh boy, the carbon footprint is
I didn't do it. I mean, the flight's gonna happen anyways. I'm not gonna take a private plane, but like, there, but like and I wouldn't actually do that. But it's a thought that has popped into my head that like, oh, I could get worked on. But yeah, I don't even know what to say to you. Anything else on the Kindle? I'm very
Nope.
curious about it. I think I
Nope.
might order the Kobo because I kind of want to compare the two on the show, and I think that might be interesting. But
Yeah.
because I'm really enjoying reading more. I fell out of it for a while, but I've been getting back into it. I'm reading I'm rereading Dune right now. My girlfriend got me a very nice hard copy version of that, but that's not something I would want to travel with because it is a very big and heavy book, as most fiction books are.
Sure.
So I would much rather have a light tablet that I could just keep in my backpack, read pick it up whenever I have, time and not have to worry about, oh, I'm draining the battery on my iPad, but I might need this for
Yeah.
some work stuff later. Like that's why I kind of love dedicated device like this and handheld gaming devices. Like, well, if it dies, it dies. I'm not going to be out of luck for some work stuff later on, or
Yeah.
having to need to bust out an external battery or something like that.
Yeah, your productivity device is still okay.
Yeah.
I should also mention the book I'm reading right now is The House on Mango Street, which is a fictional book. It's very short and is a bunch of like tiny vignettes, like 2 or 3 pages each, about a young girl growing up in Chicago, which is it's actually very, very good. So highly recommended. We'll put links to these in the show notes.
Neilion, I'm very curious about your pick, and I got a twist for you when it comes to this. So, what do you
Okay.
got for us this week? I have a twist for you.
Okay. So it's a very simple thing. This week, I uninstalled Fantastical on all my devices. So just like Feedbin, my annual renewal came up for the subscription, and I reevaluated it, and I think I don't want to pay it anymore. It's very expensive, and I don't
Yeah.
use like even half of the features I'm paying for in this app. So I tried to go back to Calendar, and I think it's pretty good, especially with the updates in Sequoia and iOS 18. There's a bunch of small design changes that make a big difference, actually. So, for example, on the iPhone, there's a new view where you can view 2 days at once on the screen in portrait mode. And that's very nice because you can always see what's up tomorrow and what's coming up tomorrow. And on the Mac and on all the devices, actually, there's an integration with reminders. So, as you know, I don't use anything to
I was gonna say.
manage my tasks.
Yeah.
And Calendar is the exception where I have important things in there and calendar invitations because I get those from work and all sorts of things. So I get those and I have them in Calendar, and it's good because otherwise I would forget them. And the idea that now I can have my reminders in Calendar, it means that suddenly my medication reminders are there. And I'm not like, I don't think I'm a changed person because my medication reminders, yeah, some of them are 2 weeks behind. And like, I've taken my medication, I've just not checked the reminders. And this is exactly why I don't use anything to manage my tasks or my to-dos or anything, because I just do the things and I forget to check them off, and it falls in this whatever word is that
Disarray.
disarray. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, the calendar app is pretty good on the Mac, and I'm missing something from Fantastical on the Mac. It is the menu bar app. Fantastical's menu bar app is very good. You can do almost everything from inside that thing. You can create events, edit events, browse the calendar, browse by dates, months, years, reminders, everything. And the built-in calendar app, Apple's calendar app, doesn't have something like that. I've tried Dato. Dato is a small indie companion app to the calendar app, and it just does that. It adds a calendar to your menu bar, and you can view your events, your upcoming events, and the month, and your reminders as well. And that's okay, but I think it's very clunky. I think it's too clunky for me, and I got rid of it. Right now, I'm not using anything in my menu bar, and I've tried something else, which is I've added a calendar widget on my Mac desktop, and that's like here's the thing. I don't like adding widgets to my Mac desktop. I don't
Same.
like them. I think they're weird. There are several visual bugs with them that have been there since Sonoma and are not fixed in Sequoia. And actually in Sequoia 15.1, they fixed one bug, which is when you switch spaces, they no longer go opaque. They stay translucent, although they go opaque for a second. So it flickers every time you switch spaces. So that drives me wild. But anyway, but the widgets are good. Like it's the same widgets that you get on iOS and iPadOS. So by themselves, the widgets are good. I think they're pretty, and they let you just peek at what is coming next on your calendar. So that's okay.
I feel very strongly the calendar app widgets are the best calendar widgets of any calendar app.
I completely agree.
Good.
Especially the extra large one. Completely agree.
Yeah, it's very good.
I like I have the large one on my iPhone on kind of like the today view, the swipe over thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I use the large one, and I love that it shows me today, like in the morning, and then once I'm like done with all my events for the day, then it kind of does that 2-day view where it shows, okay, tomorrow morning, here's what you have. It's so good, and it looks great. Like, it's fantastic.
Yeah. But anyway, that's it. I moved back to the free included calendar app, and I think the updates that they have added, that Apple has added in the latest versions of their operating systems are pretty good.
So
I have
a
twist for you.
Ooh.
Oh, wait. How
you
many
go
twists do we
first.
have?
We have a few twists and turns here.
One dad at a time, please. Okay.
Okay. Matt, you can go first.
A couple weeks ago, I did the exact same thing.
Oh, look at us.
So I did the exact same thing as
Oh
well. I'm
my
not even
God.
joking. With another twist, I also am using reminders now instead of things.
What?
Oh, no.
But
No,
you were
I
so
can't.
If you
loud
go back
about
to the
this. What?
very first challenge, I'm not going to get into a lot of detail. I'm going to be making a video about it. But if you roll back a few episodes, you can see the progression of it. I talked if you remember, I talked a little bit ago about Airtable and how I was struggling finding a project management app. And I talked about really what I need is something that has like a Kanban view and a calendar view. And then I realized, with iOS 18 and iPadOS 18, I get both when using reminders and calendar.
That's true.
I have a calendar view. I have a Kanban view. And I was really struggling with having my task management and project management in two different apps. I would get in the habit of checking one, but not the other. I have to have that stuff in the same app. So, I'm using both calendars and reminders right now. You know what's funny is it's in my iPad mini video and nobody noticed it.
Oh, you're lucky.
Usually people like eagle eye, like what task manager I'm using, and like will ask me a bajillion questions about what task. I was talking to John Voorhees about this. Some people, not everyone, but some people lose their mind when you switch task managers, and I don't know why, but like I'm just experimenting here, and I'm gonna make a video about it later. But I'm just gonna leave it at that for now.
Yeah, I definitely understand there have been several times where I'm trying something out that's outside of what people know that I use. And if I'm recording a video or something, I will switch back to the old thing just to not cause questions. It's definitely a thing.
There's definitely been times where I've tried new task managers or new note-taking apps, and I purposely don't put them in the dock because I'm just trying it out, and I don't want to cause like stress to other people. Like it's okay. You don't have to use what I'm using. I'm just trying. Like it's part of the job to try new things out. So yeah.
Yep. So the reason I switched away from Fantastical as well, unbelievable timing.
Oh,
on
now
this.
that I think of it, Matt, you posted a screenshot at some point, and I think I noticed that you were using the calendar app instead of Fantastical.
This happens.
Yeah.
So the reason I used Fantastical, because I think I've talked about this on the show before, is that I have a terrifying calendar. I have every second of my day basically planned out. It's horrifying. And Fantastical was hyper reliable and updated quickly, and I just always knew what was going on and I could trust it. And then a few weeks ago, for whatever reason, some events weren't being deleted when they were deleted by the person who scheduled the thing, and
Huh.
I lost trust. It was like that. I just lost. I was like, oh, if it's not 100% trustworthy, then it's just like the Apple Calendar app, which is not 100% trustworthy either. So, and there was this stupid bug in Fantastical. Maybe I'm the only person in the world who has this, but it happens on multiple machines, so I can't imagine it's just me. Sometimes I'll switch back to it. Only on the Mac this happens. I'll switch back to it, and it will randomly show me a date like 10 weeks in the future, and I have to hit the Today button to go back to like today's view.
Whoa.
It happens to me on my personal computer, my work computer, on multiple versions of macOS. It's happened for like a year or two.
Yeah.
And so that was a minor annoyance. But then I was like, let's just try Apple's one. And it's going fine. I may switch back at some point, but yeah, crazy that we all made the same change at the same time.
Yeah, one more thing. I noticed how Fantastical's natural language input to create events.
I do miss that.
I was about to say I didn't like it, and I always like tried to bear with it, but I always hated it because
Really?
it does things weirdly. Like when I want to add a calendar event, most of the time it's got to do with other people. That's why it's very sparsely populated, because I only put things in there that depend on other people. And one thing that I do is like in an event title, I write dinner with, I don't know, David. And Fantastical does this thing where it wants, when you write with someone, it's looking up your contacts and trying to add it as an invitee to your event. Don't do this, please.
My tip for this is, if you want a title like that it's going to parse somehow, put it in quotes. If you put it in quotes, it'll just know that's the title.
Okay.
It won't try to do anything smart with it.
But I think Apple Calendar, the natural language thing in there works pretty well.
That's wild that we've all come to the same conclusion at the same time. We did not discuss this. This is not a bit. Like this is absolutely 100% something that we all came to independently. If you look at my iPad mini video, you will see reminders and calendar in the dock there.
This is unbelievable.
That's awesome. All right. We ready to move on to the challenge?
Challenge.
Let's do it. Challenge.
Yes.
All right. So the challenge this week was mine, and it was to try a new form of multitasking. I loved this challenge. I love doing this
that's
one.
Good. I'm glad you had fun.
Yay.
All right, so we're going to start off with me, since I issued this challenge. And for me, I really only had one option because I work from the iPad. Yes, technically I have a Mac Mini, but the only thing I use it for is to record this podcast, and I don't really even do, on the iPad Mini right now, all I have is Edge up so I can see Riverside. Like there is no multitasking happening on that device. So on my iPad, I am primarily somebody that uses it. I have a 13-inch iPad Pro. I primarily use it in the Magic Keyboard or at my desk plugged into the monitor, which means I basically use Stage Manager for everything. Even though Stage Manager isn't the best, there's quite a few flaws. But this week, I turned Stage Manager off and just did split view, which meant I had to give up external monitor support. I have not used my external monitor for a week, and let me tell you, this week I really could have benefited from it while I was editing my iPad mini video. That was rough. But I gave it up for the show.
You technically could have, right? It's just it would be mirrored and it would be 4:3 or whatever.
Yeah,
on the screen.
I don't even know if that's an option anymore with the new, like, if you have an M series iPad Pro, because I think when you plug it in, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even really go into it. I was just like, I'm not gonna mess with it. Stage Manager was off, because I know you can have Stage Manager off on your iPad, but when you plug it into the external monitor, it turns Stage Manager on for the external monitor. You could still have split view over on the side, but it's still it's always going to be Stage Manager on the external monitor if you're not mirroring. So, but that's okay. I did split view, and I have 3 sections in here, and I labeled it the good, the bad, and the ugly, after a very good movie. So the good of split view is it has better keyboard shortcuts. Like, overall, I think it has much better keyboard shortcuts. You have keyboard shortcuts for adding stuff into split view, either to the left or the right side. When you do this, your app that you have open moves out of the way. You see your home screen. You can go into the app library. Like, you could really build out your home screen to be like an app launcher for split view and stuff like that. Really great. There's also a keyboard shortcut for revealing slide over, which slide over is great. Like, it's so good. It's great. Like, I used it a bunch for, like, when I was editing my video, I had my Obsidian document with my color grade presets and settings and stuff right there. It worked great. I had messages over there. I had music. It's just kind of a nice place to put apps that don't need to be full screen. You can build a pair in split view from the multitasking window. So you know that basically area where you see all the apps that you have open, and you can force quit them from there, or you can drag and drop them on top of each other, and you can create split view pairs. You cannot create stages in Stage Manager this way. It does not work in Stage Manager. I don't know why. And you have better handling over over apps that have multiple windows. It just feels like you have much better handling over that than Stage Manager. But then there's the bad. You're limited to 2 apps at a time, sort of 3 if you count slide over, but I don't really, because like slide over is kind of meant to be like this temporary thing. You're not really supposed to have it open all the time because it covers up. Anyways. And the dock is always hidden. I love having the dock revealed with Stage Manager. I don't ever have anything take up the full height of the display because I like seeing the dock there. I use it to quickly jump between different stages. I open apps in my current stage and things like that. And then the ugly. Some apps just don't look good full screen, especially on a 13-inch iPad Pro. Messages full screen on a 13-inch iPad Pro is almost unusable because you just have long lines of text going way across. It just does not look good. There are a lot of apps that just benefit from being kind of like in a smaller scale setting, kind of like music. Music's a little better, but like Messages, Discord, Ivory kind of, unless you really want to have like the big view, but even still, like Ivory full screen and a 13-inch iPad Pro doesn't look good. I mostly had like Ivory and Discord and split view the whole time and things like that.
That's interesting. I was going to say, I actually feel I'm a split view user normally on my iPad. I have the 11-inch, so it is a little smaller.
Okay.
But I actually sometimes when I'm using Stage Manager, sometimes apps feel weird in Stage Manager to me. So I wonder if it's just kind of what you're used to. But I do agree with you on like social apps, Discord and Ivory especially. Like having your feed the full width of your screen is a little crazy.
Well, and like an RSS reader doesn't look good, like the full width of a 13-inch iPad. Like it's too much. Like there's a bunch of padding in the article and stuff like that. So I would put like Raindrop IO and Lear next to each other and stuff like that. So like it just doesn't. I don't know. I don't think it works as well on the 13-inch iPad Pro. But I have fixes for that I think could be interesting. But the thing that absolutely killed me is in Stage Manager, if you have iPhone apps installed on your iPad, they just run like they would on an iPhone. You can't scale them to be full screen. They're just narrow, tall app windows. It sucks, but it's fine. Like, it works. Like, I have Instagram, for example, on my iPad. I have Croissant on my iPad, and I use those quite a bit just right from my iPad. I honestly, if I'm posting something to Instagram or using Croissant or something like that, I'm not doing it from my phone. I'm doing it from my iPad. But Split View still has the classic thing of, okay, we're going to run this iPhone app in this tiny window, and there's just this big black border around it, and there's nothing else you can do with it. You can't put other apps in Split View. You can't do, it's just absolutely ridiculous that they haven't fixed that. And they could easily fix that too by just running that app in Slide Over. Like, okay, oh, this is an iPhone app? Okay, it's just going to run in Slide Over. They could easily fix that, but they don't, and they haven't, and I don't think they ever will. Basically, my conclusion is Apple needs to focus on one version of multitasking for the iPad. Having this multiple versions, it just doesn't work well. They either need to go the Stage Manager route or they need to go the Split View route. And my hot take is I think they should go the Split View route.
Oh,
but they need to make it like Split View Pro, where it's like you can put multiple apps tiled next to each other. They need to really rethink it on the external monitor. I think Split View is the better way to go for a tablet, but they need to have the ability to have the dock always visible. Or if they want to go the Stage Manager route, that's fine, but it needs to be free-flowing windows. They need to lose the app limit, like the 4-window app limit. They need to lose that. It's such a weird point of multitasking on the iPad right now, where you have these two very different versions, and you can toggle between the two, but you just, like, one version has some really cool things, like Split View has some really nice keyboard shortcuts, but Stage Manager gives you the ability to have more windows open, but it's also very limited. And the way you resize windows is kind of clunky, and the way you move windows around can feel a little clunky. And then you have weird apps like Final Cut that I have a feeling were made so we're starting to be made before Stage Manager. And Apple used something custom. So Final Cut Pro for the iPad, if you plug your iPad into an external monitor, you cannot make Final Cut Pro go full 16:9. Other apps can go full 16:9. That's absolutely a thing you can do. But Final Cut Pro, and I believe Logic is the same way, they cannot go full 16:9. They basically just scale up the iPad aspect ratio. So
it's like the settings app.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah, the
It's
settings app.
100% the same thing. So whatever they're doing there, it's the same thing. I am going to re-enable Stage Manager just because I do a lot of stuff where I want to scale the app windows to different sizes, and that would be something like if they're going to embrace Split View, you need to be able to scale apps to more than just 50/50 or 1/3 and 2/3. You need to be able to scale stuff. You need to be able to put like tile apps together and stuff like that. But I'm going to go back to Stage Manager because it's a bit more flexible, but it's still very, very buggy and very clunky. And I'm so annoyed. I gotta wait another year essentially for them to take another crack at it. If they, who knows if they will? But yeah. So that's me. That's kind of where I ended up. I did Split View. It's fine.
Yeah.
There's some good. There's some bad, and there's some ugly.
Okay. At the start of this podcast, you asked me how I was doing, and I said I was happy, but I was clearly grumpy. And it was partly because of democracy, but it was partly as well because I've spent the week absolutely hating my MacBook.
Are you going to embrace the iPad lifestyle again, Matt?
I have been using Stage Manager on my Mac for the past week. I gave it a quick shot when it was new a couple years ago and turned it off because it didn't seem to be for me. But I was like, hey, let's give it another shot. Let's see how it is. And I don't get it at all. Recognizing I've been using a Mac since 1995. So I have history with kind of how I expect my Mac to work. I don't understand what Stage Manager is doing for me, and it just feels like I'm playing a game where it's like, oh, you want to open an app? We're going to hide the apps you were using before. You're used to Stage Manager on an iPad where you can drag an icon from the dock into the current stage that you're in. No, you can't do that on the Mac. It's going to hide all of your other apps. So then you have to reopen that stage and then find the new app you just opened that's now minimized on the right side of the screen, pull that over into the new window. It's I've wanted to scream so many times trying to use Stage Manager. I have no notes for this. I just have a rant. I'm so it's very pretty. My windows flying around the screen looks really cool. I don't understand how it works, though. You hide an app, it disappears from Stage Manager, but it's still in your dock. You reveal it, and apps can be in multiple stages, and the dock doesn't really understand what that means with the open status and what happens when you click the icon in the dock. I know I'm just rambling, but I can't think of a single thing I enjoyed about it.
On the Mac, can you hide the recent strip that appears on the left side?
Yes.
I think you can, but then how do you get to anything?
Oh, because you guys can't shift click on apps to add it to the stage. Oh, yeah.
And there's no
okay.
gesture from the side of the screen to bring. I mean,
maybe
there is with the mouse.
Maybe I should step in now. I was waiting for my turn, but
I'm going to explode.
yeah,
save me.
I think I need to bring some rationality here.
Okay.
So going into this challenge, I thought, okay, maybe I should try something new, a new app. But yeah, I agree with Matt. Let's talk about Stage Manager. We need to talk about Stage Manager because I am also exploding, but I'm trying to make sense of it. So, just to contradict you a bit, Matt, I think there are good things about it. So let's go through them all 4 good things about it. The UI is pretty. You said it. It's playful. I like to turn it on sometimes just because it feels good. Like it feels good the way that the apps move around on your screen. It's pretty. 1. 2, it makes it easy to focus on something, one thing at a time. So if you want to focus on something, just turn it on, boom, everything else goes away and you're focused on something. 3, it has a very good potential to replace spaces. And I'm a big spaces user. Like the way I manage Windows on the Mac is through Spaces, so the virtual desktops that you get on the Mac. And I think if Stage Manager were better, it could be a good replacement for Spaces. And I think that's a good point for it. That's a good thing going for it. It has a high potential for that.
That's interesting because I've always thought like my ideal version of multitasking for the iPad would essentially be Spaces on the iPad. Like give me windowed apps like Stage Manager, but give me Spaces so that when I click an app, it opens in that space that I have active.
Yeah.
If I have that app open in another space, it'll jump to it, but let me label spaces so that I can have like video editing space, writing space, communication space, things like that. So I when I was a Mac user, I was a big Spaces person.
Yeah, I get it, and that's my go-to. The Spaces are really good and really powerful. The 4th good thing about Stage Manager on the Mac is not really a good thing, but it's kind of a good thing. It's the fact that when you use Mission Control with Stage Manager on, it's a mess. Like it's a hot mess because you've got, try to picture it. You've got your app groups on the side of the screen. You swipe up with 3 fingers on your trackpad to go into Mission Control. All of your app groups that were neatly organized, that you spent hours trying to organize, now explode into an expose, all shuffled around mess of all your windows. They are not grouped together anymore, and they go in random places on the screen. It's a mess. But I think it's kind of a good thing because it shows that Mission Control can tie in to Stage Manager as a kind of way to overview everything. And I think that's missing from Stage Manager on iPadOS.
Yes.
Like on
100%.
iPadOS, you can't just overview everything or your
Well,
groups.
there is the multitasking button so
Yeah.
so you can, it will show all the different stages, but it shows every app that you've ever opened. So it doesn't do a great job of organizing that. I completely agree. Like there should be
Yeah.
a much better, like, hey, here's kind of like a home page essentially of managing your different stages.
Yeah, I agree. And that's essentially why I think that it's a good point that we have Mission Control on the Mac that can tie into Stage Manager. It just needs to be better. But so these are, I think, what is good about Stage Manager. And in the notes, I've also written, a bullet list of everything that I think is really bad. But I'm going to try to reframe it and frame it differently. Frame it as everything that Apple needs to do for Stage Manager to become actually really good. Okay, so the first thing is that Apple should make it so your groups are preserved. When you group windows together on the Mac in Stage Manager, those groups are very ephemeral. They go away very easily if you reboot your Mac, for example. They go away. You have to remake everything. So just find a way, Apple. You're a $1 trillion company and you are very talented. You can find a way to preserve those groups across reboots, and that's one way to improve Stage Manager. Right now, Stage Manager on the Mac has a total of 2 settings. And those 2 settings are, do you want to open all windows of the same apps in the same group? Or do you want to open them in separate groups? Yeah, so multiple Safari windows, for example. There needs to be more settings, is my point. There are less settings on the Mac for Stage Manager than on the iPad. That's not normal.
Wait, were those the 2 settings? Just the 2 options?
Yeah.
Is it just one setting with 2 options?
Yeah.
Oh no,
I think
that's horrible.
Okay.
I think there's one more settings, and I think that's just hide your icons on the desktop when Stage Manager is active.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even count that, but yes.
Okay.
Yeah. There needs to be more settings. Example of more settings, just one setting to open new windows in the current group by default.
Oh my god.
That would change
gosh.
everything.
On the iPad and the Mac. Like,
yeah, both on the iPad
that would
and
be
the Mac.
huge.
That would be huge. Just add this setting. One more setting you can add is please let me name my groups. I know this is a bit dumb, but I want to be able to name my groups. And if you could name your groups, you could maybe have more of a spatial sense of everything needs to go. And that could help a lot.
That actually aligns with one of the things I wish they would add is the ability to save a group or a stage or whatever to your dock. So let me relaunch this from the dock whenever I want.
Well, the other thing is I've always said, and I have a big list of things that I would like to see improved in Stage Manager, but one of them is shortcut support. Give me the ability to create shortcuts to build out stages when I turn on my computer or turn on my iPad and stuff like that. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I like this. I like that we're brainstorming here how Stage Manager could be really good.
Yeah, thank you for bringing me back down to earth. I was just raging, so.
Can I throw in one more improvement I would love to see?
Yeah.
Lose the 4 app window limit on the iPad. So right now it's not 4 apps, it's 4 windows. So for example, if I have 4 apps open, let's say Mail, Calendars, Reminders, and Obsidian. If I go into Mail and I hit the new new email button, the Compose button, that counts as a window, and it kicks whatever the last app that I was using out of that stage. So say that's Reminders, it kicks Reminders out in favor of that Compose window for Mail. And that absolutely drives me up the wall.
That's not what I expected to happen.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
exactly what happens. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I have a selection of improvements that could be made to one thing specifically. It is the strip to the left of the screen. So where your recent app groups live. You need to be able to reorder them manually, just drag and drop and reorder them vertically. That would be huge. You need to be able to click and drag on a window in one group and drop it onto another.
I tried to do this as well.
Yeah, it feels intuitive. It feels like you can do this. You can't. You can just drag a window out onto the workspace, but you can't drag it on top of another group to add it to the group.
That's
So
wild. I
that
think
would
you
be
can do that
huge.
on the iPad.
You can.
No, you can't. Or drag an app from
Oh,
the.
if you can, I'm going to be mad. Really mad.
I don't. Maybe not. Never mind. Yeah, I know you can take. You can drag an app out of the strip and put it in your current space.
Yes. That you can do on the Mac,
Okay,
but you
okay.
can't. What I'm talking about is you need to be able to drag a window from the strip to another group on the strip itself.
Oh yeah. You can't do
Yeah.
that. Yeah. No, sorry, I misunderstood.
Yeah, on the Mac, you can't shift-click on the dock to add
That's
a window
wild.
to the workspace. That's wild. You can do it on the strip. You can't do it on the dock. So you need to
That is
unify this.
wild. See, we can do it from the dock, Spotlight, and I think even the
Yeah.
app library and the strip, of course.
Yeah, on the Mac, it's just from the strip, and that's it.
Yeah.
There's almost no keyboard shortcuts. Like, why?
Yeah. As
You-
same here.
No
Yeah.
keyboard shortcut to remove a window from the current workspace, to add another. I don't know. Yeah, that's wild. You cannot, coming back to the strip, you cannot reposition it on screen. It's only on the left side of the screen. There is one way to move the strip to the left side, to the right side of the screen, and that is to move your dock to the left. In which case,
Oh.
it takes
what
the place
everyone
of
should
the
do
strip,
anyway.
so they just
So-
move the strip to the right.
That's the correct spot for the dock.
That is the correct
Sure.
spot for the dock, is on the left side. Former
Sure.
Mac user, yep, absolutely, 100%.
But imagine if you could have the strip at the bottom of the screen. I mean, I would like that, I think.
Okay.
Or at the top even. At the top would be weird.
I
think
could
at the
see at
bottom.
I could see at the top being really nice too.
Yeah. Okay. What else? I think that's it. When it comes to improvements that I would make, that's it. And I think with those improvements, including those you suggested, I think we have a good way to enjoy Stage Manager on the Mac. But unfortunately, it's been 2 years. 3 years? How many years? Years.
3 years. 3 years now,
3
because we got it
years.
in iPadOS 16. It got the iPad version got improvements in 17, and then nothing was changed about it in 18.
Yeah, so that was macOS Ventura, I think. Yeah, and I'm really sad. Every so often I turn Stage Manager on because I love the idea of it,
Mm.
and I want something newer than my ways with spaces. I've been managing my Windows in the same way on a desktop computer for a decade. I used to manage my Windows in the exact same way on Linux. Like on Linux, I had a desktop window manager that looked a lot like macOS with virtual desktops, and still to this day, I have the same way of managing my Windows. That is 3 spaces, and that's how my brain works with Windows now. But I want to move on from that, and I think Stage Manager has so much potential. And it's like they fired the 2 guys that worked on it. And I'm so sad. Please hire some people. And I mean, find those people back, hire them back. I don't know what happened here.
Yeah.
Why is there still 2 settings for Stage Manager on the Mac? And I think there's a problem here because I wanted to mention this as well, and then I'm done. They introduced this year in Sequoia the ability to tile windows, right? A bit like on
Yeah.
Windows 11. You can tile windows to the left side, the right side. You can resize the tiling in the corners as
I
well.
want that on the iPad so badly.
And the thing is, the styling window feature has so many settings, actually. You can turn off and on gaps. You can customize the keyboard shortcuts. You can turn on and on, off and on the ability to drag to the top, separately from the ability to drag to the sides to tile your windows. Like these are two separate settings for basically the same feature. So they really went all in on settings for this tiling windowing, whatever, for tiling windows on the Mac, and just how. And Sequoia 15.1 came out this week, and it has one more setting added to it. I think that's the one I just told you about, the separate setting for dragging windows. And yeah, I don't know why you forgot about Stage Manager and you're all in on tiny windows now. Just come back to Stage Manager, please. There you go.
Yeah. Yep. Co-signed. Please come back.
Yep.
All right. Well, I think that just does about for the challenge this week. I don't know who we determine who wins. You know what? I'm just going to say both of you win because you had to use Stage Manager on the Mac, and I appreciate you guys for doing the challenge.
Yeah.
At least I had some bright spots in split view and stuff like that. But like I said, I'm going back to Stage Manager. I just want Apple to fix some stuff.
Yeah.
But that brings us to the new challenge, and the new challenge is Neleons. What do you got for? What are you gonna have us do this week?
Yes, all right. So I want to say I like you. I don't want to hurt anyone
This
here.
is not how a good challenge.
Is not
well,
gonna
it's how a
go.
challenge starts.
This is not gonna go well.
And whatever happens, it's okay. All right.
Next week is gonna be the very last episode of Comfort Zone.
Okay, so
All right.
the challenge is, I'm afraid to say it. Okay, the challenge is learn a new language.
Okay. Huh.
Okay, let's get into it. So by that I mean, here are the details. I will write everything down for you guys. Next week, I want us to say something in a foreign language, like a couple of sentences, maybe just one sentence. Please make it longer than 3 or 4 words, in a foreign language that you don't already know. Okay?
Easy.
And what's the tech aspect here? I think the tech aspect here that would be interesting is that just use whatever app you want for this. There's a big one that's very famous out there with an owl, with a green owl as its mascot. You can try that. You can try something else. Even if it's not an app, maybe you have a technique using one of your devices. You have a method that you want to try. Let's try to say something in a foreign language as best as we can next week. One more rule, try to exclude a language that you already know.
Again, it's super easy for
So
me.
Klingon is out. I can't
Anything
do
besides English.
Hang on.
Can't
I'm
do
going to
Klingon.
exclude, for example, I'm going to exclude German. I know a little bit of German, but
Yeah.
I can't I'm not very fluent, so I'm going to exclude that. I'm going to try something else.
I know a little bit of Spanish, so I will exclude that.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
And
all right.
yeah, it's going to be okay, guys. I think
I
it's
like
fun.
this. No, I like this. It's typically I don't bother with like learning new language apps and stuff like that. So this will be something new to try. I like
Yeah.
this.
And don't go too hard. Just say one thing for next week and try to pronounce it correctly.
Should we come up with a common phrase that we all have to say in the challenge? Like, hello, my name is Chris and I like pizza or something. I
think
don't know.
it's fun. It's funnier if we come up with our own phrases and maybe next week we can try to guess what the other person said.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
Oh,
all right.
boy. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I like this. This is gonna be interesting. This is going.
Keep it simple, huh? Don't not too much pressure.
You had me way more worried. Like I thought you were gonna be like, okay, Chris, you have to work from a Mac for a week, and I was gonna be like, my Mac has 8 gigs of RAM and 200 gigs of
No.
storage, and which is usually full. Like, so
I don't want to
okay,
do
all right.
that to you.
Yeah,
I thought you were going to say learn a new language, like a programming language, like learn to AppleScript or something.
I know.
That would have been easier, honestly.
All right. Well, that just about does it for this week of the show, but I have a question for you all. So I'm curious, what dinosaur would you want to be? Not what is your favorite dinosaur, but if you were to, I don't know, go through a portal and all of a sudden you're back in time and you're a dinosaur, which one would you want to be?
I want to be a pigeon.
I don't think that qualifies as a dinosaur.
I will argue otherwise.
Okay. All right.
It's the best dinosaur.
Because it's still around.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, like, aren't alligators considered to be dinosaurs because they've lived for millions and millions? I don't know.
I don't know.
I know birds are the closest living relative, I think.
Yeah.
I have no idea, actually.
Well, I'm going to win this question because I'm going to say extinct dinosaur, which I think is what Chris wanted.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I would be a Brachiosaurus.
Okay. All right.
So I have a big, long neck. Wouldn't really have any fight in me. I would just be able to have a chill hobbit life.
Interesting. See, my immediate thought is go Tyrannosaurus Rex. Like,
I was
be
thinking
king
that
of the
too.
dinosaurs. Like, yeah, the biggest, the baddest. Yeah, nobody's
you're
gonna
always-
mess with you.
Yeah, but then you're fighting. You got to kill things. It's a
Yeah,
whole.
but,
You
I
got to do
mean,
it every day.
but if I have
It's
to
such
think
an
about
ordeal.
what do I want to eat more, steak or vegetables, I'm gonna pick steak.
But
So-
the veggies are just right there. It's so easy.
Yeah.
Just chomp, chomp, chomp.
Nah, I'm good. I'm not veggies. Anyways. Okay. All right. Well, that just
All right.
about does it for the show. Thank you all so much for listening. A huge thank you to Mac Stories. We are a Mac Stories podcast after all. And just a reminder, the Mac Stories Club is on sale for the next 24 hours from when this podcast comes out. So hopefully you hear it in time. If you don't, go check it out anyways. Matt, Neilion, anything to promote? Want to say goodbye? Now's your shot.
Last week I published a tour of my desk setup on macstories.net. And this week I have an overview of iOS and iPadOS 18.1. An overview of everything new besides Apple Intelligence specifically.
Ooh,
Yeah.
nice.
I have nothing to plug, so I will just say adios.
Goodbye, everyone.
Auf Wiedersehen.